Hey guys, welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft, filling in for Joy Taylor. So on today's show, would Colin Kaepernick be a fit for the Miami Dolphins? Plus, the Cowboys could have a new offensive monster on their hands. Yeah, he's 6'6". And is LeBron James the only legitimate threat to Michael Jordan's legacy? We've got a packed show today. Skip, Shannon, let's debate. Well, multiple reports say the Dolphins believe Ryan Tannehill will need season-ending surgery on his left knee. Tannehill hurt his knee during a non-contact play at practice yesterday. He had a partial tear last year on the same leg. Head coach Adam Gase said today Matt Moore is the Dolphins quarterback right now, but ESPN reported that Dolphins executives have discussed bringing Colin Kaepernick in if surgery is needed for Tannehill. There's also reports that our new colleague, Jay Cutler, could be an option. We're joined once again by Ray Lewis. Ray, there's a lot to this story, but what do you think the Dolphins should do?
Well, look, I think, first of all, you got to start what you have in-house. You know, Matt Moore was the same guy came in last year and took this team to the playoffs. You know, so I think they're not in that position to where they're stuck, right, to where the starter goes down, but you don't have nobody to replace him. Matt Moore is that guy to replace him, and so now I think it's a choice. Who do you want to deal with? Colin Kaepernick, or you want to deal with Jay Cutler? And I think that decision comes down to the front office on who's the better fit for that number 2 position. Because right now I think Matt Moore is definitely that guy for the Dolphins. But you know, the one thing I would say about Tannehill, when I saw the play, when I saw him rolling out that play, the first thing I said with that brace, I'm like, he never looked comfortable from day one when he was rolling out with that thing. And so I guess my question to him is, Shay, why wouldn't you take care of that last year when the off season, right? And sometimes people say, well, you know, you can kind of fight through it if you do all the necessary things and you won't have to have surgery. But that doesn't leave you 100% comfortable, right? Because there's always a twitch, there's always a hitch somewhere in that knee. And so the bigger picture for me is, why didn't Tannehill get that surgery?
You went with the new miraculous stem cell treatment.
Yeah. But for me, it still didn't seem like it released all of his pain for him to have that big old knee brace on and stuff.
And it's on his left leg, Skip. That's the steers everything. You can't have that thing wobbling around the play. For me, look, okay, you have Matt Moore, so obviously he gets the nod. He's the starter. But ask yourself this: do you believe Matt Moore can take you to where you need to be? Do you believe Matt Moore is the guy that can get you into the playoffs and win you a playoff game? Has he done that in his life? You know, there's a guy that's on the street that we know he's taken a team to a Super Bowl. He's taken a team to an NFC championship game. Yep. And under the right circumstances, they got Ajayi, they can run the football. Yep. They got Stills, they got Parks, they got Landry. So they have some weapons around him that can help him, and he can throw the football because he, as you mentioned, Skip, he played the Dolphins last year. He had a very good game. He threw for like 280.
I thought it was his best game.
Yes. And had, another 90 running the football.
And it came down to one late play where he got stopped near the goal line by Kiko Alonso.
So you have Matt Moore, but I do not see another guy that's available. Now, granted, they could make trades, or there could be some people that's going to get cut down the road. But for me, I think Cap is the best option.
Man, this story's got so many layers. It feels like a Christopher Nolan movie, like Inception. You saw Inception, right? You just can't figure it out. It's like layer after layer. There's a yes, but on everyone. Right. Yes, but, yes, but.
He could need, we're going to get a second opinion, a third.
Yes, but. And I'm with you on Matt Moore. Every time he plays at a very high level. He has not been able to stay healthy. He tends to try to win one for the Gipper and take shots in the pocket that he just can't recover from. He took some at Pittsburgh last year in the cold where I thought he couldn't get up from, but he did. So I don't know how long he will last. But now you have the connection of Jay Cutler to Adam Gase. Adam Gase got, I'm not sure it was the best out of Jay Cutler, but he actually turned him into, dare I say, an efficient quarterback in 2015, where he threw his career low 11 interceptions, and he completed 64% of his passes. So he kept him between the lines better than Jay has been able to be kept between the lines, because as you always say, Shannon, he's just as likely to throw it to the other team as to your team.
Yep.
And he will try things that nobody can pull off because he thinks he's got the biggest cannon in pro football, and there are days when it looks like it is.
Yep.
And he has thrown a bunch of touchdown passes. Jay Cutler, 208 in his career to 146 interceptions, which is a lot. And then you look at Colin Kaepernick, he's 72 touchdowns to only 30 interceptions. Colin Kaepernick is very careful with the football. He was 16-4 last year, so it's low.
His legs bail him out a lot.
They do,
yeah,
they do, but
great.
he does not take crazy, risky chances the way Jay Cutler does. But Cutler has the connection to a coach that you want to talk about the smoothest, quickest fit. If in fact you don't think Matt Moore that can last, if you need to go get another starting quarterback, the smoothest fit is right now Jay Cutler. He's our guy right now, and he's got a pretty good gig here, and he's only 34, but does he want to give it up? Would they be able to give him a big enough bonus to justify, you know, like make it kind of starter kind of money?
Right.
For him to give up this career? I don't know, but he could walk right in the door and know the jargon, and he could just pick it up. He could call the plays with like second nature in the huddle, and they would not miss a beat. But now you're bringing in what I consider I've given up. He's my guy from Vanderbilt, but negative intangibles.
Yeah.
I don't love him. I don't love the body language. I don't like the slumped shoulders. I don't like the I don't really care sort of attitude. He is really gifted. I'm telling you, he can wing the football. But can he lead a football team? No. Never proved that anywhere. So is he better than Ryan Tannehill? I say yes. But I really think that Colin Kaepernick is better than Ryan Tannehill. I'm not a fan. Never was sold. So in a way, this is just me, I think this is a blessing. I don't wish injury on anybody, but there's a blessing in disguise here in that you could go forward with somebody, but you better pick the right somebody.
Right.
Well, you know this when you with Jay Cutler, if I'm a defensive player and I'm facing Jay Cutler, I'm already going to call the restaurant and get me a reservation for 6 because I know you're going to throw me a pick, and I'm going to the end zone. So I need a reservation for 6. That's where I'm headed. You know what Jay Cutler's going to do. So let's not pretend ourselves like all of a sudden he's going to change who and what he is.
Hey, but he kind of changed in 2015. He did. He sort of strapped it down a little bit. Well, 21-11 is not bad.
21-11. Then last year he was 4 touchdowns, 5 picks, and then 28-18, 19-12, 19-14.
Adam Gase went to Miami.
That's the connection for him.
But Skip, at the end of the day, he's been a high turnover guy.
Yeah.
That's interceptions. We're not talking about strip sacks that he's allowed now.
I'm with you. I cannot.
So
argue.
if you're going to turn, hold on. But here's the thing, though, Skip. Okay, yeah, he knows the terminology. He turns the ball over, and he's not a leader. So what benefits are you actually getting from Jay Cutler? If he's turning it over, he's not the guy that guys are going to rally behind and say, okay, Jay, you first, I'm right behind you. If he's not that guy, so what are we doing?
Or are we going too fast saying who is the number 2 and number 3 and not giving Matt Moore enough credit saying
You got to have a backup though.
You do, but
you believe in Matt Moore? You gonna hit? You go?
I think the Dolphins. I mean,
I'm talking about you.
For him to get him in the playoffs.
No, we talking about you.
Well, I mean,
you in the front office now.
No, I'm not.
You in the front office now.
Ain't too many quarterbacks.
So you got some. You got some money.
You know, you ought to know the things I've been through with quarterbacks.
Yeah, I was there. I was there. So let me ask. So let me ask. You got some money. And I figure any amount of money that's gonna mean something to you. And if it's your money, it means something to you. You believe in Matt Moore?
He's the starter for the Dolphins, so they better believe in him. It don't matter if I believe in him or not. The Dolphins better believe in him because the head coach just named him the starter.
I can show you his numbers. They're better than Ryan Tannehill's numbers.
Oh, well, Skip.
Right, but they are.
Hey, stop doing
Matt
Moore like that.
At least you got that going
man.
for you.
Like Michael Jordan said, a dude with one leg better than.
Hey, stop doing Matt Moore like that. He led the boys to the playoffs.
No, he didn't.
Okay, so let's take it one level deeper here. Steve Ross, the owner of the Dolphins, was the one owner who stood up and supported his Dolphin players who knelt the way Colin Kaepernick did during the anthem.
Correct.
You got that going for you.
Yes.
So I could argue, man, this could be the perfect landing spot
fit.
for Colin Kaepernick.
Right.
Except for another yes but. And this is a big but because Colin, on the very first night that we were made aware of the fact early in last preseason that he at that point was sitting for the anthem, right?
Correct.
He addressed the media after the game, wearing a T-shirt with a picture from 1960 of Malcolm X and Fidel Castro. And under it was the caption, "Like minds think alike." Colin said, I was just supporting Malcolm X. But unfortunately, there's another guy in the picture that a sizable Cuban community in Miami will not love, that Colin supported it. And then there was the fateful give and take, because Colin then had to play as a 49er at Miami, game we talked about. Played great in that game. That was November 27th. A couple days before, he had to do, as all the starting quarterbacks do, the conference call with the Dolphin and Miami area reporters.
Right.
And during that, Armando Salguero of the Miami Herald, a Cuban exile who went through hell to get out of Cuba, started asking Colin some tough but fair and right questions. And Colin answered with some insensitive and I thought very uninformed answers that really offended Armando, and I'm assuming offended a whole lot of Cuban exiles living in the Miami area. And he said, I asked Kaepernick how he can protest oppression, then ignorantly don a T-shirt featuring an oppressor. And as we all know, Fidel Castro, tyrant, murderous dictator. And Armando concluded in the piece he wrote for the Miami Herald that I was stunned how someone so outspoken about his beliefs could be so ignorant to facts not up for debate. All Kaepernick did was expose himself. So go ahead, wear your Malcolm X t-shirt that features Fidel Castro. Wear it around town where hundreds of thousands of Cuban exiles live with memories similar to mine. Show everyone what an unrepentant hypocrite you are. Strong language, but it shows the emotion from which Cuban exiles speak.
I just wish Armando would have phrased it like this, Skip. It says, how can you fight for people that's being oppressed and then don a T-shirt of an oppressor?
Yeah.
When you said ignorantly, when you call someone ignorant or say ignorantly, you automatically put them in a defensive position. So now he's going to have to come out and maybe say some things that he shouldn't have said.
Yep.
So there's a way, and then once you come to the conclusion, says, okay, he's doing this, I don't believe in him. But once you say someone is ignorant or ignorantly, we doing an interview, what you think oh yeah, you're right, man. No. I'm gonna bunker down in my stance and come back at you. Even though like I said, I would have advised Colin not to don this T-shirt, because anytime someone doesn't like your message, they're going to do anything they can to undermine the messenger. So I think it's lesson learned. Move on.
No mercy. Hey guys, before we move on, I wanted to tell you that the Undisputed podcast is brought to you by Barbasol. The biggest thing to happen to Barbasol since shaving cream is also the only thing to happen to Barbasol since shaving cream. Introducing new Barbasol razors. The brand America trusts for a close, comfortable shave now has premium disposable razors. Barbasol's close shave technology on every razor means you get an advanced pivoting head and ultra-thin open flow blades. The Ultra 6 Plus razor also features a 7th blade specifically designed to refine and style tricky areas like under the nose, sideburns, and beard. Visit Barbasol.com and get a $2 savings coupon and see for yourself why Barbasol razors are the #1 new disposable razors out there. You're looking good, America. You're shaving with Barbasol. No mercy.
Last night, it was the Cowboys who beat the Cardinals 20-18 in the Hall of Fame game. Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, Dez Bryant did not play for Dallas, but former Baylor basketball player Rico Gathers, he looked pretty good with 3 catches and a touchdown. We'll skip. What was your biggest takeaway from last night? We didn't have Dak, we didn't have Zeke, we didn't have Dez, but we saw some good things. What'd you think?
As I said yesterday, I was looking for a flash or two from some of those kids on defense.
Okay.
I saw a glimpse of Taco and a little glimpse of Charles Tapper, and I saw Awuzie sort of get lost 2 or 3 times, so wasn't impressed so far. It's just the first of 5 preseason games. But Shannon Sharpe, when we started this show almost a year ago, September 6th, first day, I told you that I had seen something in preseason I'd never seen before. I saw a rookie out-of-nowhere quarterback play like a veteran, look like the franchise quarterback, play with poise and accuracy way beyond his years. And I told you, I'm already sold on this kid, Dak Prescott. So something happened last night that came out of nowhere, hit me right between the eyes, and it was a revelation. I saw a kid that I watched play basketball, as Jenny points out, at Baylor. I watched him a lot. 6'6", 285, kind of a below-the-rim, just a bully of a rebounder. All-time rebounder in the history of Baylor basketball. It's pretty good. And he decided he would try football. and my Cowboys took him in the 6th round 2 drafts ago and then put him on the practice squad. They even considered making him a defensive end. They weren't sure what he was going to be, but they made him your position. They made him a tight end. And he emerged last night as a revelation to me. And I'm already going to go out on the limb. I saw a monster. I saw somebody who's going to have impact on this year's Dallas Cowboys. Number 80, Rico Gathers. And he caught a touchdown pass from little Kellen Moore that was something to behold. He snatched it out of the sky. Again, 6'6". He's 2 inches taller than Antonio Gates, another former basketball player from Kent State.
He ain't a better basketball player than Antonio Gates.
No, Antonio was really good.
Really good.
21-8 at Kent State in his last year there.
He went to the Elite Eight.
They were really good. He was a player.
Yes.
And he is obviously a football player.
Yes.
But again, 2 more inches and about maybe, I don't know, 40 more pounds. Rico Gathers.
Once upon a time, Antonio.
He's got
285.
285. But I'm saying,
285.
but then Antonio, I don't know what Antonio weighs now, but it's 240-ish, 245, 250-ish maybe. But this is a bigger, stronger kid who moves like an athlete. He looked like he knew what he was doing. And when he put his hands up to snatch the ball out of the sky, it looked natural to me. It didn't look awkward. It looked like he could do this. And as we know, Jason Witten, what is he, 15, going into his 15th and perhaps final season, a guy you say you could outrun, can't. We'll need somebody else. And maybe he'll need to be spelled a little bit this year. And all of a sudden, Dak Prescott has another new toy.
Jason Witten doesn't run fast enough to get tired. Why would he need to get spelled?
He blocks like crazy.
Oh, man, stop.
You know he blocks. And I don't know if Rico can block, but I don't really care yet.
At 6'6", 290, he better be.
He better be able to. That is correct. But this is a new weapon that I did not see coming. I knew he was there, but I didn't. Like, I hadn't even thought about him. And when he flashed off my TV screen like that, I said, that's legit, that will last, that will grow. Monster potential. I think it's another weapon to add to. We saw Bryce Butler, who can get behind people, and the Cowboys kept him as a free agent. So all of a sudden, that Cowboy receiving corps is looking like, man, it's up there with anybody's. I love my offense that I didn't even get to see last night, and maybe it can cover for an average defense.
Jenny, can you repeat that question? Because I don't know.
Yes.
There we go.
Biggest takeaway from last night?
Well, I see Dallas defense pick right up where they left off last year. 2 straight drives. Boom, boom, boom. Hey, like this, I skip. My jacket, I like to do like he skipped. Boom, 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 right down the field, touchdown. Boom, 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 touchdown.
Who was the quarterback?
Blame Gabbert.
Blame him.
But sometimes he can be David Blaine and disappear like he did in Jacksonville, like he did in San Francisco. But that's neither here nor there. We're talking about last night. Now, I remember yesterday, and I wrote this down because I had a feeling this was going to happen, Jenny, because when it didn't work out like he had planned, he was going to come in. He didn't even mention Rico Gathers yesterday.
I told you I didn't even think about him. I forgot he's on the practice squad.
But I didn't forget.
Oh.
The first guy you mentioned that you wanted to see flash was Taco.
And I did. I saw one play from Taco early.
That you told, he flashed.
97. Watch for him. 97.
I'm reclaiming my time.
Okay.
I'm reclaiming my time.
Trying to help educate.
I don't want you. I don't want no help. I ain't gonna be like Ray, go back to school at 37. But that's not me.
Another gratuitous shot at Ray Lewis.
He's not even here to defend
I'm
himself.
sorry,
He
Sugar,
will
I'm sorry.
be here.
Now, you
We're
told me that Taco. Oh, Jenny, Jenny, if you could just sometimes I wish you tune in. Oh, I watched Michigan games and Taco, he flashed. So I wanted to see if he could flash, if he could jump off the screen. I drove by an AMC Theaters, paid him $20 for some 3D glasses because I wanted to see him jump off the screen. I ain't see nothing. I didn't see nothing Taco did.
They doubled him.
Maybe he ate too many tacos before the game. So I didn't see nothing. You told me about Charles Tapper. I said, is he related to Jake Tapper? You know I like Jake Tapper. He's a snazzy dresser like me on C. Oh, he does a great job.
Like you?
Yeah, he's a snazzy dresser like me. Jake Tapper. Lewis.
99 in your program.
Check him out. Lewis, he was injured.
He was injured.
Didn't play.
Little hamstring issue.
Awuzie.
Okay.
Awuzie.
Lost. No, he's lost. 33, he was just like, where am I? You know how that feels. You were there once, right?
So now, Your defense. Oh, hold up. I guess Rob Marinelli wasn't calling plays. Was he at the game?
He was there.
So who was calling those defensive signals?
Okay, obviously a bunch of the starters didn't start.
And that's what, Skip. I don't normally watch these games. These are what we would call family and friends games, because only family and friends will watch these guys play.
I'm not a family or friend. I watch.
That's what we normally call them. But I get it, Skip. You know, the reason why you can tell players, especially early, Skip, is because they don't script anything. They just call plays. And when they're not calling plays to get you open, or they're not calling plays to get you home to the quarterback, and you just do that just because you have God-given ability, those are who you can find out who the players. I will agree with you. I believe Rico Gathers, he looked like a player to me.
Really?
Now,
Wait, Shannon Sharpe just said that.
Because you know why, Skip? Because if you look at the way he caught the ball with his hands, and the things that basketball players are really good at, because you can't catch a basketball in your chest. You got to use your hands. That's why Antonio Gates was so good at it. That's why Gonzalez, and I think this kid could be good. Now, he looks like a defensive end or an offensive lineman, Skip, because at 6'6", 290, that's pushing it. Now, you remember the Cowboys took another basketball player out of Fort Valley, Rayfield Wright. He was a basketball player. They put him at left tackle.
Under Gil Brandt, they used to do it regularly.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, but I will.
Do you remember Pete Gent? See, there's Michigan State. This is way before your time. Wrote books.
No.
But he was a really good Meredith target. But he was a basketball player.
I just remember Rayfield because he went to Fort Valley, who we used to beat the brakes off of, and they were in the same conference as Savannah State. But I don't want to go back.
Big Cat.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And so. But I wanted to see Taco. I was like, oh, I heard so much about Taco. You know how you hear so much about somebody, Jenny, before you meet them, and then you just want to meet. You're like, oh, so you're Taco. So I'm sitting there, I'm watching them like, well, I said, Katie, these glasses don't work. She's like, what's wrong with them? I said, I just paid $20 at AMC for some 3D glasses because Skip told me
they don't sell 3D.
Oh, Skip,
they don't sell
stop
them.
it.
You know
Why
they
you
don't
trying to
sell
ruin my story?
I don't know.
Skip said
you go to the same theater I go to.
Skip said this guy was going to jump off the screen. So I really want to feel, because I remember, getting them 3D glasses they used to show on television, and the guy like he's coming through the TV. So I want to see Taco up close. I'm like, Taco! I was like, maybe they had Velcro on his jersey. Because all I see him go to the tackle, I saw no separation. I saw no disengagement. I saw no push. I saw no press. And I was like, Charles Tapper. I said, ooh, I know Jake is looking at this because this Jake cousin, third cousin. I said, Jake watching this game because I know he got to get up early in the morning to do CNN, but he going to watch his cousin. I said, well, Woozier. He told me every time he turned on TV, watch Colorado, Jenny. Oh, a Woozier.
He was great.
Jumped off the screen.
Covered him last year. I mean, and a good guy.
Jenny knows what she's talking about.
I was impressed by him. I was always impressed by him. Sorry, I am with Skip on this one.
You were impressed last night?
Not last night, but it's still early.
They're having to play 5 preseason games instead of 4.
You had me come home. I missed my workout.
I know. I got it.
Because I had to watch Skip gonna want to talk about this game. I missed my workout, and I never miss my workout.
So I remind you, last year in a real game at San Francisco, where Blaine Gabbert was the starting quarterback in October, a game that counted.
Yes.
Blaine Gabbert took his 49ers right down the field, and it was 7-0, and then he took them right down the field, and it was 14-0, San Francisco over Dallas. And I'm like, oh, my God, I'm going to have to face that guy tomorrow. Then Dak happened. And Dak happened again, and Dak happened again. I think the final score was 27-14.
Yeah.
Came from 14-0 down to Blaine Gabbert. So am I going to take that to the bank last night? Am I really that worried about it? No, I'm not. Because, by the way, the defense, 3rd and 4th stringers, they clamped down. They did pretty well.
Skip, I said it was him. I said he was blamed.
But
for two,
Chris Collinsworth was raving about him last night, saying, I've never seen him throw like this. Well, Chris, obviously doing the Sunday night game, probably didn't get to see what he did to that Cowboy defense at San Francisco last year. He's pretty good. He was like the 10th pick in the draft?
Yeah, he might be on Collinsworth payroll. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Let's see if Taco has a little more time for you.
Okay.
It's still early. And, he's...
I mean, a lot of them guys that Taco was going against going to be driving beer trucks in 3 weeks, Skip.
Okay.
That's not the best tackle that he's going to face. You do know that, right?
But he was facing 2-on-1.
No,
They already knew. They knew what was coming. We got to double that guy. I saw it. I watched.
No, I watched him eating taco supremes.
Yeah.
You saw that too, didn't you?
Yeah.
Maybe he had too many of them.
You know
all
what's
that
happening.
Guacamole and sauerkraut he put on there, too much.
Either way, Rico gathers it's a good story. I hope it
He
plays
ain't the kid
out.
to Jumpy?
It's a good story. Hadn't
You
played
think he
since
related to
8th grade.
Jumpy?
Jumpy gathers. That's going way back.
No mercy.
We're now joined inside the hall by our own Joy Taylor. Joy, good morning. Your brother Jason is going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame tomorrow. How are you? What's the experience been like so far for you and your family?
Well, so far it's been a lot of fun. We're getting shuffled around place to place, and there's a lot of people. There's obviously a bunch of fans for the game last night. I was really impressed with the facility last night. They've done a lot to the stadium, and it was a fun experience. You don't usually get to see a pro football game up that close and intimate. So everyone was out in full effect. There were a ton of Cowboys fans, as you can imagine, but it's been fun so far. Today it gets a little more serious. Now everybody's going to be getting in town for the weekend and getting ready for the enshrinement, but it's been a lot of fun so far.
So, Joy, I apologize that you were subjected to so many great Cowboy fans last night, but how much did it come across that Jerry was the star among stars last night?
Well, Skip, you know that Jerry is a rock star. We talk about it all the time, and that was very evident last night. I've told you before, my mother is a huge Cowboy fan, despite growing up in Pittsburgh. I know that's blasphemous, but she's unapologetic about it. So it was her first time seeing the Cowboys actually play in a game, so it was very exciting for her. And so she was, rubbing that in everyone's face. But no, there's Cowboys fans everywhere, and you know how they are. And when Jerry was introduced on the field yesterday, they were out, and it was obviously the biggest applause and most noise whenever they said Jerry Jones and he walked across the field. So it's very evident.
Joy, I understand you got to go to Jason's party. That's your bruh. But what party are we hitting next? I need to know about the parties.
Listen, I've heard a lot of buzz about the parties this weekend, and they are extravagant. I'm obviously very excited for Jason's party, but the things I'm hearing about Jerry's party, I don't know. I think I might have to find somebody to get me in there. It's going to be a scene for sure. I mean, Jerry doesn't do anything small, as we know, and there's a lot of private jets coming and touching down at the Canton Airport here, and it's going to be a star-studded, elaborate event for sure.
Skip missing out.
Yeah, I'll be watching. You don't go to any parties anyway.
I got to go to the party.
So, Joy, again, speaking of Jerry Jones, one Jimmy Johnson, once upon a time fired by Jerry, is presenting your brother Jason. And so what are you hearing about this speculation that maybe Jimmy would think about making peace with Jerry this weekend?
What I'm hearing, and I'm not a reporter, I'm not a Rob Parker reporter, but what I'm hearing is that the peace has already been made. They're already on good terms. Like I said, if you get an invitation to Jerry Jones' Hall of Fame party, you go, even if you are Jimmy Johnson. So from what I'm hearing, they're on good terms. He's going to be at the party. They're going to be hanging out this weekend, and all is good. So we'll see.
Skip, you worried?
No, I'm not worried at all. So, Joy, let's get it back on your former home turf, Miami, and we need your opinion because we've been kicking it around. If, in fact, Ryan Tannehill is gone for the year, which direction do you want your Dolphins to go?
Well, obviously, Kaepernick's name is going to come up immediately, and I've been thinking and saying all along that once there is a catastrophic injury in training camp, that's when Kaepernick's going to be taken very seriously as an option for a team that needs to maintain either until their quarterback is back or through the season. But you touched on it last segment, Skip. It's not that simple when it comes to Miami. I never really actually crossed my mind that it would be Miami that has the injury with the starting quarterback in this situation, but you talked about the Castro shirt. That was a very serious thing to a lot of people in Miami, not just Cuban Americans in Miami. If you live in Miami, you know someone who has been affected by the Castro regime. You know their stories, you know their families, you know that some people may still have family there and what they've gone through. It's a very, very serious thing. So while I do think that what Kaepernick is trying to do is educate people who are ignorant to the suffering of others or are ignoring the suffering of others, I think he was put in a spot by wearing that shirt that he showed that he didn't really either know or recognize the seriousness of Castro. And when Armando Salguero interviewed him and pointed that out, it kind of put Kaepernick at a disadvantage because of everything that was going on. And I'm obviously sympathetic to that because I lived in Miami for a long time, so I understand that those sensitivities run very deep. So this is really interesting situation that the Dolphins need a quarterback now, or may need a quarterback for the season, and Kaepernick is available. It would be a really good spot. Adam Gase is a young, up-and-coming coach who could probably handle this. As you mentioned also, Stephen Ross was one of the owners who's very supportive of his players doing the protest, really the only owner that I can think of that did that. So it's an interesting situation. I think it would have to be handled very specifically PR-wise because of that. But I would love to have Kaepernick. I think that Kaepernick is a capable quarterback, and a lot of people don't really have faith in Tannehill to begin with. Matt Moore is a very capable backup, but he is a backup quarterback. He's not a starting quarterback. At one point or another, it would fall apart. And I like Matt Moore a lot, but I just don't think that he can carry the team throughout the entire season. So I'm not quite sure what direction they're going to go in. As far as Jay Cutler is concerned, our colleague, it's interesting because he had his best year with Adam Gase in Chicago. So that is an interesting situation. I don't know that his personality would necessarily fit with the Miami scene, but I'm not quite sure what direction they're going to go in. I don't like the other names that are being thrown around, of Sam Bradford's or Mike Glennon's. Those don't excite me, but we'll see what happens over the next couple days with the injury, because I don't think that they've actually announced how serious it is or whether they're going to have surgery at all, but I think you still need a capable backup quarterback beyond Matt Moore's skills in this situation.
Joy, 36 hours, turn up.
The only thing Shannon is thinking about, if you will have a good time.
No, Shannon, I saw your picture on the hall. I was walking by. I took a little selfie with it. I'll tweet it out.
Yeah,
you look so
yeah,
young.
yeah.
You've aged so much, Shannon.
So
She's looking the same.
Let her get away with that?
I'll get you, Joy. I'll see you tomorrow.
No mercy.
Joined now by Fox College football analyst Joel Klatt. Joel, welcome.
Good to be here.
It's
almost here. College football season. Here we go.
Whoa. You just said it, but it's the hardest time right now waiting for this. I mean, the anticipation is building. And you just released your top 5 quarterbacks. And you left off a guy from Alabama. You left off Hurts. He didn't make the list, but they're ranked #1 within the preseason poll. So we got to talk a little bit more about that. Yesterday, the preseason coaches poll was released. Alabama ranked #1, followed by Ohio State and Florida State. The 3 previous times Nick Saban's teams have been the preseason #1, including last season, they failed to win the national title. So Alabama opens the season against Florida State in Atlanta. Skip, let me start with you. Do you agree that Alabama deserves to be #1?
I do not. I don't see it. In fact, ironically, the one thing I do like about Alabama is the quarterback you left off your list. As a true freshman last year, what a smooth operator Jalen Hurts was. But he lost his coordinator, the man who propped him up so well, beautifully last year, Lane Kiffin. Brian Daboll comes in. He's bounced around the NFL. I'm not sure about him. Which brings me to Saint Nick, whom I've called Ain't Nick, because he was Ain't Nick in the championship game last year. And now he's lost 7 defensive players to the draft, including 3 in the first round, from a defense that got torched by Deshaun Watson in the championship game, 420 yards passing. And the year before, Deshaun also torched Ain't Nick's defense with 405 yards passing.
You make it seem
seriously?
Like you make it seem like Deshaun Watson selling insurance right now.
He's pretty good.
I told you.
He's pretty
good. I
good.
said he was going to be the best player in the draft, and I think I want to be right about that, which brings me back to Ain't Nick. I believe his reputation is on the line this year as a defensive genius, especially as the savant of the defensive backfield, which is his specialty. He's hands-on with his defensive backs. And they just keep on getting torched. And I'm just going to hit a few of the lowlights over the last 4 or 5 years, because we go back to that Oklahoma Sugar Bowl. Trevor Knight, whom we saw briefly for the Arizona Cardinals last night in the opener against the Cowboys, he threw for 348, and they scored 45 points in that game. And then we went on to the Iron Bowl the next year, and Nick Marshall, I'm not even sure he's still in, I think he's with the Jets, but he threw for 456, and they scored 44 in that game. Then we had the back-to-back Ole Miss games with Chad Kelly. I like Chad Kelly. I think he'll wind up maybe being the starter for your Broncos at some point pretty soon. But he scored 43 and 43 in back-to-back years against Ain't Nick's defense. Threw for 421 last year. 421, wow. And then we had the national semifinal. My man Ezekiel Elliott ran for 230 yards against Nick Saban's defense on just 20 carries. He just ran wild. And I didn't even bring up the Manziel game. Again, they lost that game. A&M did at home. But Manziel threw for 464 and ran for another 98 and scored 42 points. This is outrageously bad. And now you're telling me once again they're number one, but they lost all those starters. And then it's up to St. Nick to rebuild on the fly, reload on the fly. And I'm not seeing him do it consistently enough for me to say they can rise above all those losses and keep people from torching this defense.
So before I get to the poll, I just want to dismantle all of what Skip just said. I wrote it down just to make sure. Good luck. I'm going to do it very quickly, actually, in short order. First of all, you keep taking shots at the defense with these very specific games over the last, 5, 6 years. So you've got 6 or 7 games of the last 5, 6 years.
I just went to 2014. So
right around 9% of the games, 8, 9% of the games. You show me another team that doesn't play at least average to poor defensively in less than 9% of their games, and I'll sit here and wait all day long because it doesn't exist.
40s?
He's the most consistent defensive team in the country in this generation. So you can pick out specifics all you want. Everything in the college game is made for tempo and speed and the RPOs with the linemen being able to be 3 yards down the field. You're going to give up yards. You're going to give up points at some time, and you got to be able to win those games. And a lot of those games, they were able to pull out wins and win national championships. The next thing you brought up was Jalen Hurts. You said that was a bright spot. Actually, he was 48% in his last 3 games last year trying to throw the football. They averaged under 5 yards attempt throwing the football. That's the biggest weak spot going into this season, actually, is Jalen Hurts. And then you brought up Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll is going to be a great addition for what Alabama does because they're not going to get themselves into a position where they're having to face 90 snaps or 99 snaps from a Deshaun Watson Clemson team or some other great offense because he will run the ball more consistently than Lane Kiffin ran the ball. So all of those things are actually the exact opposite of what you just said. Now let's get to the poll. Let's get to the question posed. I hate preseason polls. You know why? Does anyone earn anything at this point? No. No, the answer is no. In the upcoming World Championships, is Usain Bolt going to get a head start in the 100-meter because of his prior greatness?
Nope.
No, of course not. And guess what? In our sport, my issue is that perception matters because we crown our champion based on some measure of subjectivity. So why would we put any basis out there to earn perception or build perception on something that is totally fake? Right now, we don't know what any of these teams are. The shelf life of a team in college football is much shorter than that of a team in the NFL because it is 1 year with the short recruiting cycle. Each team's life is 1 year. So let these kids go out and earn what's on the field. You know, that's my problem with preseason rankings. Does Alabama deserve to be number 1? No. No one deserves to be number 1 at this point. No one.
Okay, but you're a smart guy. Somebody jumps out to you and you say, I like USC or whoever it is.
The team that jumps out to me is Ohio State. Because last year they were the least experienced team in the entire country, still made a playoff run. Now they've got the most experienced quarterback who's played really well in some large moments outside of that game against Clemson a year ago. And they've got the best defensive front 7 in the entire country. And when you know, Shannon, that you're going to be up in ball games and you've got 4 or 5 deep on the defensive ends that can get to the quarterback, time lights out. Lights out. Game's
so
over.
you just said Ohio State
I
should
like
be
Ohio State. Do they deserve to be number 1?
Yes,
no.
they do. In your head, they do.
They're a great team.
It doesn't
so
mean
Alabama.
they get 2 wins because they're the preseason number 1. They have to now go out and back it up.
You said Saban's legacy was at stake this year. Was Bill Belichick and Tom Brady's legacy at stake in last year's Super Bowl? No, it had been written in stone just like Saban's has been written in stone.
They had 1 and 1 and 1. They'd already won 4 Super Bowls together and should have won 5.
Shannon, what's Saban done?
Huh?
Got 4 at
Show
Bama.
him.
Oh.
He got 4 at Bama.
Yeah, what happened in the last 2 to his defense? Again, I'm just talking about his
He won one.
defensive
Did he?
reputation.
I think they won one of those chips, if I'm not mistaken.
With an onside kick, they did.
See, Skip, no,
Well,
start
they
with the
did. And it was
start
a
with the
good call. I
caveat.
give him that.
Start with the
I give him
caveat.
that as a head coach.
Was it not
see, we were
offensive
talking
pass
about
interference on
two-way
Clemson?
coaches, see?
Was it
He's
not
two-way.
offensive pass interference on Clemson? I think that could have been called. I'm glad it wasn't, but I mean, that
Yeah, the
could have been
pick-
called.
Changes a lot.
Twice. Skip,
All I know is the numbers, 405 and 420 for Deshaun Watson.
Give me
really?
a defense that hasn't done that at least 9% of the time.
Okay, but you didn't even have Deshaun at the top of your quarterback list going into the draft. Oh. You had Trubisky. Go ahead.
I did not have Trubisky.
I thought you did. I thought you liked him.
I had the Notre Dame.
You know, I could.
Okay,
I mean,
Deshaun.
I mean, if I wanted to nitpick, I can go back to 2002 and say, well, look at Tom Brady when he faced the Broncos, or look at Tom Brady against the Broncos in AFC Championship games once Peyton Manning got there, or look at him against AFC Championship games against the Baltimore Ravens. I could do that, but I wouldn't. Or I could say go back to 2014, and look at him at Kansas City, but I wouldn't do that. See, because his body of work over 17
This
years.
is a guy with a reputation for being the best defensive coach in the history of college
what's
football.
What's Tom Brady's resume?
He's the greatest quarterback ever.
Go look at those games and tell me if you see the same thing.
Yeah,
but
Why are you boiling this down to the specificness of
games.
being defense?
I only went back 3 years. I just went to 2014.
I just want to make this abundantly clear. Nick Saban is the greatest coach in our sports history. Period.
Really?
Yes. Just like I think Bill Belichick is the greatest coach in NFL history. You know why? Because it's harder to dominate now than it ever has been at the pro level and the college level, and those two gentlemen have dominated.
But Belichick had Tom Brady, who gets 75%
Right, which
of the
makes
credit.
Saban even more impressive. Because
It does.
do that
you
over
know what?
cycles and cycles and cycles of recruits.
I will agree. He is the greatest recruiter I've ever seen. Once he got the pipeline restarted in Tuscaloosa, it is rolling. And I'm sure he's got to replace those 7 defensive players drafted.
got
I'm
'em.
sure there's 7 more who will
got
get drafted next year.
Skip, if you want great barbecue, where do you go? You go to Memphis. If I want great soul food and I'm in Indy, I go to Country Kitchen. The preseason ranking in college football, you know who's going to be number 1. St. Nick. And he'll play anybody, anywhere, anytime. How many times you see a team play the number 3 team in the country to start the season? Play Wisconsin, play USC.
Yeah, and
anywhere.
lately he made a case where he thinks everybody should play like all the top teams.
He
wants
play
to be just in the
Power
Power
5
Five,
teams.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
So
I give you that.
Look, I get it. Jalen Hurts, he's never going to be. He's never going to remind you of Deshaun Watson, or maybe even
I don't know. I
Vince
think he
Young.
might.
No, I don't, he's not.
He's a
proficient.
true freshman last year.
I mean, he was their biggest liability.
Yeah,
But
he
he
cost him.
played
'cause
with
he couldn't,
poise.
He couldn't make a throw. He couldn't make a throw in the championship game. Skip.
Did he
The
not
last
make?
two-
Did he not make a play against LSU that cost me a case of Diet Mountain Dew? I mean, that was a big play.
Skip, y'all
Nothing going to the fourth quarter. Did he not make the
I mean,
play?
he made the same play against Clemson, and so if Deshaun doesn't go down the field, we'd be talking about that. Look, he's a talented player, but he was their biggest
Exactly.
liability.
I'm not surprised they're number 1. They finished second in the national championship last year to
Yeah, but
a
you
great.
put them 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Don't worry about it. They're going to be back again. As long as Skip, this is what these young men do. When you go to Alabama, this is what Nick Saban promises them. You will win the SEC. You will win a national championship, and you will go play in the National Football League. That's what these guys want. Now, if they get an education, the mom's like, baby, get an education while you're there. But Skip, if you go to Alabama, you're not trying to be a doctor. You're not trying to be a lawyer. You're trying to go play NFL football. That's what these guys go there for. So make no mistake about it. And guess what he can say? He can go sit on some mother's couch, some grandmother's couch, and say, look here, I've been coaching college football for 30 years. I coached in the NFL as a defensive coordinator and the head coach. Your son can play on Sundays. And when you come at those, and you come from the environments, because I was one of those guys, when a coach tells you that you can go play on Sunday, and you look around and you looking at your coffee table, and you looking at the stove that doesn't work half the time in the refrigerator, guess where I'm going? I'm going to see St. Nick, or I'm going, because guess what? Urban Meyer's telling them the same thing. Dabo Sweeney's telling them the exact same thing. Skip, I'm not saying these guys don't want an education, but first and foremost, they're not getting financial aid to go for a scholarship because they're good in English or they're good in mathematics. They can run, tackle, and throw.
Okay, so how do you keep leading the nation in recruiting year after year after year, and on these big stages in a Sugar Bowl or an Iron Bowl or a national championship semifinal or 2 national championship games, you get blown up. How does that happen? I don't get it. I'm sorry.
Skip, they lost by 3
You're
points.
overrating what's happening here. You're just sweeping this under the carpet. These are the games that mattered.
I have sat here and listened to you before laud Brent Venables as a defensive mastermind. He's the coordinator for Clemson.
I like him.
No one, okay.
Yeah. I thought he did really good things for my Oklahoma Sooners that covered up how bad a motivator Bob Stoops was.
How many
I
national
told you
championships did he win up under him?
So,
one.
My only question is, Saban and Alabama gave up those yardages to Deshaun Watson, who you think is maybe the best NFL prospect in the entire sport, and yet they're bad, and Venables is good to great, and he's giving up those points and yardages to Jalen Hurts, who's thrown for 48%.
Okay, but Venables came back on OU. Remember when Clemson played Oklahoma as a minor bowl game, but they beat him like, what was it, 44-0? I mean, Oklahoma couldn't move the ball against Venables.
How did Venables do against Pittsburgh? At Pitt, when they came to Death Valley, how did they do?
Okay, but I'm just saying,
and
guy,
Troy, who they barely squeaked by. I believe Troy was like an overtime
don't
game.
change the narrative because we're talking about Saint Nick. Saint Nick, and you just say, oh, that didn't matter.
Rampant though. That's
but Skip, you keep talking about Alabama with the #1 recruiting class. Ohio State has the #2. Clemson has the #3. You making it seem like he's losing to Baylor.
Ezekiel Elliott ran for 230 on 20 carries.
He was first. He was first team All-Pro.
Yeah, but he made them look like little sisters of the poor.
He made the NFL. He made the NFL look like
this. Looks like Troy.
Okay, how do you make the NFL look?
Oh,
how do you make the NFL look?
No mercy.
Well, earlier this week at his flight school basketball camp, Michael Jordan said LeBron James was not better than Kobe Bryant. Jordan did say that LeBron is the best player in the NBA right now, but when he was asked about Kawhi Leonard, Jordan said, quote, "Great player. He's the best two-way player in the game right now." Shannon, is Michael Jordan right about his thoughts with Kawhi? No.
He's trying to heap some praise on one of his endorsees, which is Kawhi, the Claw. He had the first part right, though. LeBron James is the best player of 7.7 billion people on Earth. And if they got 3 or 4 more on Mars or Jupiter, he's better than them also. But you know what I'm starting to notice, Skip Bayless?
No, what?
I'm starting to notice that every time Michael Jordan says something about LeBron James, it comes with a caveat. And I'm starting to wonder why. But I don't wonder why because I know why. He sees LeBron James as the only legitimate threat to his legacy. Kobe is retired. All the other Pantheon greats are gone. Wilt's deceased. Kareem is retired. Magic, Bird, all of those. The only guy that can really threaten his legacy is one LeBron James. LeBron's the best, but Kawhi's the best two-way player. Where did they do that at? You know what? Mike Trout is the best two-way player in baseball, but Bryce Harper is the MVP, is the best player. They don't do that. They don't say, Von Miller's the best pass rusher, but J.J. Watt is the best run stopper. The best defensive player is X. You know what? I would say Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback, but Cam is the best dual-threat quarterback. You see what he did? Instead of just leaving it at that. But no, he wants to try to poke holes in Bron as much as he can. Because you know why, Skip? He knows Kawhi Leonard is no threat to his legacy.
Really?
Going into his 7th year, he has yet to record a triple-double. At this time in his career, LeBron James had 24. And when you throw in the 4 he threw in the playoffs, that's 28. As a matter of fact, Kawhi has only had 1 game in which he's had 8 assists. 1 game. LeBron James has 24 triple-doubles at this point in his career. He did this with Kobe. Michael Jordan knows that there's no way you just take championships and say, this is the reason the player is the best. You take championships, you take MVPs, you take All-NBA, you take how many times did he lead the league in scoring, how many finals did he get to. You factor all that in. You just don't bake a cake with sugar. Got to have some vanilla extract, have a little flour. What else you want? You like red velvet? Get some food coloring. You like German chocolate? Get coconut. Man, Michael Jordan, time out. You too big for this. Stop trying to take pot shots at LeBron James. because I see what you're doing. You can't be slick to a can of oil, and that's what I am. And he's trying to be slick, but I caught him. Yeah,
terrible.
Don't worry about it.
I feel sorry.
I don't feel sorry for me.
You're just a can of oil.
No, don't worry about it.
That.
Yeah, because he's trying to be slick, but you can't be slick to oil.
Okay.
I see what he's doing, and I'm tired of it, Michael. You too big for this. Your legacy is what it is. You can't add to it.
Oh.
But see, you can't beat Michael Jordan's legacy because you keep bringing it up too. Oh, the most iconic shoe ever. I do love me some Jordans. I can't even lie, Skip.
Cannot.
I got a bunch of them. I spent a lot of. You know what? I might take it back. If he take one more shot at LeBron James, I'm selling everything Michael Jordan I got. That's a lie. I'm keeping it.
They were all gifts to start with.
There wasn't no gifts.
They're hookups.
There ain't no hookup.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, I hooked them up with a lot of money.
Yeah.
But Skip, don't do this, Michael. This should be beneath you. Give LeBron his credit. He's the best. He's been the best for over a decade. They're talking about no two-way player. Ain't nobody talking about no two-way. What is this, a walkie-talkie? You can dial somebody on the phone and like, hey, Jenny, come on, y'all need to stop, Skip. And you know what you're going to do? You're going to sit right over there. Oh, yeah, Michael hit it right in the head. Oh, Michael, he nailed this one.
Wait, I got to write that down. Right on the head. Go ahead.
Yeah, Michael,
I need some more lines.
Michael ain't hit nothing on the head. All he had to do was say, LeBron James is the best player in the NBA. Period. The end. But no, he had to write P.S. The best two-way player is Kawhi. Time out for you, Mike. And unfold your arms, too.
You gonna take another shot at his eyes?
Yeah, that's that old good old Brown. That's that good Brown. That's that old good Brown.
Henny, hen.
Yeah, because you know white liquor don't do that, Skip. That gin, that clear, that don't do that. But that Brown.
Okay. Now you're taking shots at the guy your guy can't catch.
Oh, he gonna
your
catch.
guy's 3-4, about to be 3-5.
No,
in
he's
the NBA
3-5.
Finals. Huh?
He lost 5.
Yeah. Okay, but he's 3-5. He's going on 3-6. Well, you know he is. They'll get back
4
next
and 5.
year and get rocked.
4 and 5.
Michael Jordan won 6 with 6.
How do we talk about
Anyway.
the distinction between Kawhi?
Michael Jordan hit it right on the head. He nailed it. I'm just reading your script that you gave me. Thank you.
How'd you know?
So I have a question. A year or so ago, Steve Kerr said Kawhi Leonard clearly is already the best two-way player in basketball. Is he threatened by Kawhi Leonard? I think not. And Charles Barkley has said a couple times on air that it's clear to him that the best all-around player in basketball is Kawhi Leonard. I just really don't think Charles is threatened by LeBron James.
He was 5 years into the league. He was past Charles Barkley.
Okay. And then during the Memphis playoff series last year, one Reggie Miller, who's a pretty good player, he's a Hall of Famer, he just couldn't help himself and gushed right at the end of the game. Ladies and gentlemen, we are watching the best two-way player in basketball because Kawhi Leonard had switched off his original defensive assignment to take one little Mike Conley Jr., who was torching my San Antonio Spurs until Kawhi said, enough of that. Because Kawhi, to me, is still the best defensive player in basketball. He's the 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. This year, I think they got tired of giving it to him.
No, Draymond earned it, Skip.
Okay,
Stop.
so they gave it to Draymond. Gobert was second. And Gobert's a beast, man. He's a long, tall beast. But Kawhi is still the best all-around defender because he can defend every position. And yet, what happened this year that because you don't watch the Spurs because they're like eating broccoli. I love broccoli myself, and I eat it every night because I watch the Spurs every night. I eat broccoli at every meal. It's nature's most perfect food. Yes, it is.
Yeah,
and
with
so
cheese.
are the Spurs.
You gotta put cheese on it?
No.
Okay, then I don't want to eat it then.
Well, why would you ruin it with high-fat cheese?
I'm going to put some low-fat cheese on it.
All right.
That's even worse.
So what you failed to watch was Kawhi Leonard finally, after being poked and prodded by Greg Popovich, came out of his offensive shell and became a beast on the offensive end. He became the Spurs closer, and I thought he was in a league with this year Cleveland's closer, LeBron's closer, Kyrie Irving, because every time I looked up, Kawhi was making a late last-second shot. Late and close situations, he was plus 62, which was number 1 in the NBA this year. LeBron was tied for 33rd. It's okay, no big deal. And then, game on the line, Kawhi scored 18 late points this year. LeBron scored 7, but that's because he has his own closer, who's Kyrie Irving. That's okay. But just to put this all in the big picture, Kawhi Leonard became an unstoppable force, especially in fourth quarters when they really needed him, because we know he's unselfish to a fault, and no, he's not a passer, but
not
he
a
can
rebounder.
Score. He can rebound when he decides to, when they need him to.
So when is that,
but
Skip?
when he can make big shots, that's when he becomes the best two-way player in basketball.
Can I ask you a question? Is Kawhi Leonard a better defender than LeBron James is an offensive player?
A defender than LeBron. At what point? Like right now? LeBron's an old man now. This is 15 years. 15 years. You have to accept that. You have to give in to that.
So with that being said, LeBron is entering year 15. Kawhi is entering year 7. So therefore, Kawhi should be a better defender than LeBron. Is that correct?
Better defender than LeBron as an offensive player?
No. I'm saying LeBron going into year 15.
Yeah.
Kawhi is entering year 7. So he should be a better defender.
He is a way better
LeBron.
defender than LeBron.
So let me ask you a question.
There was a time when LeBron was a really good defender. I don't think he was ever as good as Kawhi.
Are you?
Hey, you ought to watch him some night. You ought to watch what he does to people. Hey, you ought to watch what he's done to LeBron James in clutch situations.
Did you watch what LeBron was doing when he guarded Tim Duncan in the finals? Or maybe you missed the part in game.
I missed that.
No, you didn't miss it. You didn't miss it when they went to that small lineup.
I didn't miss the part where Popovich took Duncan out in the last shot scenario where Ray Allen
Watch him guard Kevin Garnett. LeBron James in his prime, in his apex, could guard 1 through 5. Now, we saw Magic Johnson give it to Michael Jordan in game 1 of the finals, hit him up for a triple-dub in Chicago Stadium. You remember that, Skip? And then who did they put on it, Skip?
Once upon a time.
I just asked
you. Once upon a time. It was a long time ago. I give you that. We're talking about, help me out, Jenny. Wait, are we talking about 2007? No, right now. 2017.
And in 2016, LeBron James again was first team All-NBA. 26 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. What was Kawhi's number? He didn't average as many points, as many rebounds, or as many assists. Did he do that, Skip?
LeBron James cannot be stopped, but he can be bothered by one man, and that is Kawhi Leonard, and I've seen it on the biggest stage because Kawhi got up into him down the stretch of Game 6 in 2013 in LeBron's house in Miami, and LeBron came apart down the stretch with 3 like unsightly turn, like shocking turn. Well, I'd say, LeBron, what are you doing? Well, Kawhi was doing that to him.
So he got up into him to that triple-double.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And then LeBron, of course, missed the last-second shot that would have sent it to overtime. Long rebound, no Tim Duncan in the game.
Kind of like
Chris
Kobe.
Bosh to Ray Allen, boom, greatest clutch shot ever.
Kind of like Kobe did in Game 7 when he was 6 of 24.
See, you're changing the narrative. You're losing one battle, so you got to start another one.
But no, you keep
okay, I get it.
No, but you keep saying Ray Allen saved his legacy, and I'm asking, did Metta World Peace save Kobe's legacy?
We're not talking about Kobe.
Okay. But Kawhi ain't even got no legacy yet.
You realize when Game 6, it was going to be over. It was done. The Spurs are ahead by 3. The championship is going to be decided unless LeBron can hit the 3. Bang, he went LeBrick, back iron, long rebound. It was a classic.
Kind of like Kobe did went LeBrick.
I don't remember that.
Oh, you remember it?
Yeah, this is for the game. This is for the series. This is for it. You're going to fall.
But guess what, Skip? Guess what would have happened? If Kawhi would have made both of his free throws, who cares what Ray Allen did?
He was 19. 19.
No, he wasn't 19. Don't, Skip.
He was a baby.
Don't do that, Skip. Hold on. The best two-way player, Gad,
he missed a big
had to do the Heimlich on.
Yeah, so did my favorite player ever, Manu Ginobili, missed a big free throw. Yeah.
Oh, no, hold on.
But LeBron missed the game decider and Ray undecided.
Hold up, Jenny, you saw what he did?
Yeah.
He was laying, this is what you did, Skip. On my jacket, because I got to be like, Skip, you don't never button the jacket, I don't know why. But, sitting, when you're in a seated position.
Don't reach.
I understand.
But here's the thing. When he's talking about Kawhi, Kawhi, he missed a free throw, and so did Manu. But when he said, but LeBron James, LeBrick, he sat up in his chair. You see, you perked up. LeBron,
He's the best player on the planet. That's all I ever hear.
What happened? But you said
No, you should tell me what happened.
You told me that you would rather have Manu taking a shot than LeBron. How would he miss a free? Like you said, they're free throws. Nobody's bothering you. You're at the line by yourself. Just you and your thoughts. Why would Kawhi and Manu miss free throws like that, Skip?
Why would LeBron turn it over 3 times in the last 2.5 minutes of that game? 3 in 2.5 minutes? That is shocking to me. I kept saying, thank you. Thank you.
What did he do? Did they win? Now, see,
Ray Allen won.
You won't even mention the fact that they were down by 10 entering the fourth quarter in Game 6. And LeBron James what about those 3 threes he made, though? But see, you don't want to talk about them, Skip. Why we won't talk about that?
Because what matters is what happens at the end of the game with the game on the line when LeBron is often at his worst.
Okay.
Not his strength.
And in Game 7.
So I just showed you Kawhi has become a closer. Kawhi didn't want the basketball. He's like the perfect San Antonio
That's why we fouled him.
I don't even want to shoot it. You have to shoot it. You're good enough to shoot it. And finally, they got through his head post Tim Duncan after Tim retired this year. And they said, Kawhi, we need you to take games over. And he took them over the way nobody this side of Kyrie Irving can take them over. Wow. You got to give in to that.
In Game 7, 18 seconds, the Heat was up 2. LeBron pulls up from 18 on who?
Really good.
Who did he pull up on, Skip?
You know what? My Spurs were dead in the water. They were psychologically devastated.
What?
They couldn't lift
Hold
themselves.
on.
They played an awful game and still stayed in the game.
A team coached by Greg Popovich and Tim Duncan and Manu and Tony Parker and the best two-way player. They were fragile. Their psyche was broken.
No, it was broken by the fact they had just won the championship and Ray unwon it. That's what happened. And it's hard to turn around in 48 hours and say, we got to do this again?
Nope. Yeah. I don't believe it. I don't believe it, Skip.
Sorry.
No mercy.
Thank you for listening to the Undisputed Podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm Jenny Taft, in for Joy Taylor. Join us again at the same time Monday morning, 9:30 Eastern. Have an awesome weekend.
Fox Sports, one of one.